Let's do it. Let's count it down and give you a dream Big 12 football road trip. I'm Pete Mundo. We're Heartland College Sports. Glad you're here. So this is one of my favorite shows I do every year. I've been doing it for 5 years running, and I give you a perfect Big 12 football dream road trip for the upcoming season. But there's a catch. You can only go to each Big 12 stadium once. So this is not like pick the game of the week or what you think is going to be the game of the week and then go there. All right. That's not what I do here with this. What I do is I make it strategic. So you can only go to each Big 12 stadium one time. Now we've got 14 weeks in the season and we have 16 Big 12 teams. So I didn't go to every stadium. That's basic math. But let's have some fun with this and start in week one. If you are just joining us, it's game week. College football's back. And if you've been waiting to subscribe, please do it right now. YouTube, podcast, it would make all the difference in the world to us. It helps us a lot more than you realize. And hit the like button right now on YouTube as well. So in week one, in my dream Big 12 football road trip, I'm going Baylor, Auburn in Waco. I get a Friday night Big 12 SEC matchup. Nothing like beating an SEC team to kick off the college football season, right? So sign me up for that game week one. The Bears, I believe, are going to be Big 12 contenders. Smoke Auburn a little bit, have some fun, and then let's move on to week two. In week two, I'm going Cy-Hawk, Iowa State versus Iowa in Ames. This game has been decided by 10 points or less going back a decade. It's been 2016 the last time this game was not decided by 10 points or fewer. That is unbelievable. That's how close these games have been. Last year was a classic as well. So you can't go wrong. Ames, Iowa, early September, Cy-Hawk. It's going to be a fantastic show, and that's got to be the week two pick. There's a lot of good games week two, but that one just takes the cake. Now, some of you are saying, well, Pete, last week you ranked the top 5 non-conference games, and you didn't put Cy-Hawk in there. But now you're saying you'd go to this game week two. Well, yes, it's not a top 5 non-conference game because, frankly, as much as I love Cy-Hawk and as great as the games have been lately, I feel like that game has never really transcended like the Big 12, Big 10 thing. It just doesn't seem like it's had the cachet and juice beyond the rivalry itself, which is tremendous. So that's why I left it out this year in my top 5 non-con games. Not that it can't be a great game, but in terms of the value to the Big 12, I don't see it necessarily being there because I think Iowa's going to be down. So that's a big reason for that. But are you kidding me? I would never turn down the opportunity to be at a Cy-Hawk game. In week 3, I'm going Houston versus Colorado. It's the first Big 12 game on the schedule in the States. Okay, there's Farmageddon, week 0. I'm not including games that are not on U.S. soil. So it's the first Big 12 game that is happening not in week 0 in the United States. And that's an interesting game because, like, Houston wants to be that team to take a big leap forward this year under Willie Fritz. And Colorado is trying to prove that last year was not just a fluke and that it was not all driven by Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So it's not a game that's going to get a lot of attention, but it means a lot to both of these programs. And I know some West Virginia fans are like, how are you not going to the backyard brawl? That's a no-brainer. It's more about, Pittsburgh, I think. I'm sorry, but I don't think either team's going to be any good. I know the backyard brawl is legendary. There's nothing I love more than a great rivalry, but in this case, I'll take the Big 12 matchup that has implications for both teams over the backyard brawl. Oh, and let us know where you're watching from, by the way. Please do that right now if you're checking us out live. We'll give you a shout-out here during the show. Meantime, week 4 in my hypothetical dream Big 12 football road trip. I'm going TCU versus SMU. The Iron Skillet week 4 matchup, and an SMU team that's preseason top 25, fresh off a college football playoff. And then you've got TCU, a team that, I don't know, I think can take a big step forward. And if they're going to take that big step forward, having a great non-conference win over SMU is going to go a very long way on that front. So that's why I've got the Iron Skillet matchup available in week 4. I thought about Utah versus Texas Tech because that's my pick for which teams are going to be playing in the Big 12 championship. I've got Utah versus Texas Tech. However, I wanted to save Utah because this is where the strategy comes into play. I wanted to save my Utah trip for a different week. So I've got my trip to Utah later in the season. So that's why I didn't go ahead with the Utah versus Texas Tech matchup there. In week 5, I'm going to Boulder, Colorado, where they will take on BYU on September 27th. Now, this is their first meeting as members of the Big 12. They didn't play each other last season. And these are also two teams that want to prove last year was not a fluke. They both went 7-2 in Big 12 play. Of course, neither of them made the Big 12 championship because of tiebreakers. But BYU, we know, trying to figure out his quarterback situation. So is Colorado. Boulder in late September is a dream. So sign me up for that game, week 5, Colorado versus BYU. In week 6, I'm going east. It's Cincinnati versus Iowa State to kick off the month of October. Now, that one I chose because Cincinnati's getting projected by some to be a dark horse this year in the Big 12 Conference. I don't hate the idea. I don't hate the pick at all. I really don't. I would like that for the Big 12 for Cincinnati to just be semi-relevant and not blow and like actually win some impressive games. I feel like that program is just in a great spot to do it. Well, the program's not in a great spot. But, I mean, the idea of Cincinnati being very good, we've seen it firsthand, right? Under Luke Fickell, we know what the ceiling can be for Cincinnati. But Scott Satterfield just has not been the guy. This may be his last year to prove that he is. And if he is going to prove that he's the dude, early October, you got this game in week 6 against Iowa State. It's a great time for Scott Satterfield to get a big win because what Cincinnati has done since joining the Big 12 is mostly beat teams they're supposed to beat and lose to teams they are supposed to lose to. There's been no real notable big upset victory. And I'm not saying they're going to be big underdogs or even be underdogs, but at least it's against a formidable opponent and a legit program in Iowa State that played for a Big 12 title last year. In week 7, this is October 11th, on this hypothetical dream Big 12 football road trip, we're going to Salt Lake City. Utah taking on Arizona State in a former Pac-12 showdown that will go a long way to determining whether or not Utah is going to be in the mix for a Big 12 championship, and same thing with Arizona State. This is a huge game for both of these teams in the middle of the season, and it will play a huge role, there's no doubt in my mind, in the Big 12 football conference race. So that game right there is why I wanted to save my trip to Salt Lake City for that Week 7 matchup instead of going there early in the season in Week 4. And I feel like mid-October is a better time to go there than, let's say, mid-September. I mean, I'm sure both are great, but if I was putting this hypothetical road trip together, that's what it would look like. Now, just to be clear, I'm not doing this. I got 3 little kids at home, 6, 4, and 18 months. I like my marriage. So, I mean, I love my marriage, but you get the point. I couldn't pull this off. One day I will do it. I will. But I could never pull off doing this. But if somebody wants to go ahead and try to pull off this dream hypothetical Big 12 football road trip, we'll do something special for you here on Heartland College Sports. Thanks to those of you watching today. Let us know where you're watching from. We've got Ames, Iowa in the house. Stillwater is here. Austin, Texas, welcome in as well. Just talking about Salt Lake City, you're here too. Florissant, Colorado, if I got that right, Brian. Thank you guys so much, as always, for joining us on Heartland College Sports. And make sure that you are subscribed right now to the channel, to the show, and hit that like button. It does make a very big difference. And thank you, as always, to our radio affiliates as well. Let's get to the back half of this hypothetical Big 12 football road trip. In Week 8, so we're hitting the back half of October 18th, BYU v. Utah. You think I'm missing a holy war? No chance. In HE double hockey sticks, am I going to miss a holy war matchup as Big 12 rivals? Not a shot. We know what happened last year, how incredible and intense that game was. Fantastic entrance into the Big 12 for the Holy War, and I wouldn't miss that one. I mean, no matter what, that is going to be the game that I'm going to be at in that Week 8 matchup on this hypothetical road trip. Week 9, we got another rivalry matchup. I will go east to Lawrence, Kansas, where KU plays K-State in the Sunflower Showdown. And this, of course, is a new year for KU. They renovated the stadium. A lot of hype around that after playing games at Arrowhead last year, home of the Kansas City Chiefs. But this one in particular has the potential to combine two teams that may have, between the two of them, 1, 2, maybe 3 losses. Maybe. That's about it. It's entirely possible that these two teams each come in at 6-1 or something like that. In which case, you're looking at that last weekend Sunflower Showdown matchup and saying, hey, this one could have major Big 12 implications. In Week 10, we're going up to Manhattan. So we're following K-State to Manhattan, where they will take on Texas Tech in Week 10 as we flip the calendar to November 1 on that Saturday. The final month of the season, here's what you get in the Big 12. You get these elimination games. We saw it last year. And this year, we're going to see more of this as well, where we'll enter November. I believe we're going to have half this league in contention to reach Arlington. Heck, there might be 10 of the 16 teams that enter the month of November. Now, some are going to need more help than others, but 10 teams could easily enter November and say, if things break just right for us, we're in the hunt for a Big 12 title. That's possible. And this K-State Tech matchup, November 1st of week number 10, is going to be a tremendous showdown between those two teams. And that game will go a long way to determining who ends up in Arlington playing for a Big 12 championship. In Week 11, I'm following Texas Tech, the road team, down to Lubbock, where they will take on BYU. Now, once again, every week can't be the game of the week. I've got to figure out how to make this schedule work so I do not go to a Big 12 stadium more than once. And while Tech BYU is not the best game of the week there, I think it's got fascinating potential. Is BYU in the mix? Are they playing spoiler at this point? Where is Texas Tech at with all these high-powered and highly paid transfers? You have what I think could end up being the best offense in the Big 12 in Texas Tech versus BYU, who may have the best defense in the Big 12. There are a lot of really compelling storylines in this game, and it will be, I believe, a night game when you're welcoming in BYU, right? There's an excuse to make it a later kickoff, and I can see that being the case for Texas Tech in that one. In Lubbock at night in November, if they're in the mix for a Big 12 championship trip, watch out. That's got all the potential in the world. In Week 12, we're going Oklahoma State versus Kansas State in Week 12. Now, you might be like, Stillwater? Stillwater? I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be in the mix. I do think K-State's going to be in the mix. This is sneaky trap game written all over it for Kansas State. If you have Mike Gundy with nothing to lose, maybe he's fighting for his job. I don't know. I don't know what the season's going to look like for Mike Gundy. I'm just saying. It's an old school Big 12 matchup. Oklahoma State, K-State. I know we don't get as many of those these days. So, Stillwater in mid-November is great. Most of the time, you might get one of those fluke, 25 degrees and snow kind of a game, but unlikely. in mid-November, but possible, I guess. And it's just got, old school Big 12 written all over it. And, once again, I got to do this the way I do it in terms of not going to a Big 12 stadium more than once. So I've got that game lined up for week 12. Then we get to week 13. I'm going out to Tucson, Arizona. Arizona is hosting Baylor. Now, also included in my commentary here for this Dream Big 12 football road trip, I'll take Tucson, Arizona in late November over a lot of Big 12 locations in late November. So that's admittedly part of the game here. But is Arizona playing spoiler potentially at that point in the season? Are they fighting for bowl eligibility? Is Baylor in the mix for a trip to Arlington for a Big 12 championship? A lot of potential scenarios exist here that could play a factor in how the Big 12 championship race goes down the home stretch. So give me Arizona versus Baylor in this week 13 matchup. And then in week 14, I'm going right up the road for a little Arizona State versus Arizona. Territorial Cup. There we go. I can't wait. Is Arizona State trying to punch a ticket to a second straight Big 12 championship to defend their title from last season? Is Arizona trying to play spoiler to that against their biggest in-state rival? Is that what's happening going into that game? That wouldn't surprise any of us if that were the case. So there's so much potential. Tempe in late November, Thanksgiving weekend, sign me up for that. Rivalry matchup during rivalry weekend, and I would go to Tempe to wrap up the season. So my dream hypothetical Big 12 football road trip starts in Waco, Texas. Week 1, it's Baylor v. Auburn. Week 2, it's Iowa State versus Iowa. Week 3 is Houston versus Colorado. Week 4, TCU v. SMU in the Iron Skillet. Week 5, Colorado versus BYU. Week 6, Cincinnati versus Iowa State. Week 7 is Utah versus Arizona State. Week 8, BYU v. Utah, Holy War action. Week 9 is the Sunflower Showdown, Kansas versus K-State and Lawrence. In Week 10, go to Manhattan. K-State hosts Texas Tech. In Week 11, it's Tech versus BYU. In Week 12, it's Stillwater, Oklahoma. Oklahoma State versus Kansas State. In Week 13, it is Arizona versus Baylor in Tucson. And then in Week 14, it is Arizona State home to take on Arizona. That's how I do my hypothetical Big 12 football road trip for the upcoming season. And you can only go to each Big 12 stadium once. That's it. That's what makes it fun, and that is what makes it strategic. I wrote about this on heartlandcollegesports.com as well. Be sure to check it out there. So where are we watching from today? We got Shamrock, Texas in the house, Hampton, Iowa, Forney, Texas, Morgantown, West Virginia. I love this. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for being here. Who's our small town winner? I admit I have not done those in a little bit. But Hampton, Iowa is 4,300. That's tiny. Shamrock, Texas is, 1,700 in Shamrock, Texas. What is Forney, Texas? Forney, Texas. Oh, you're a booming metropolis in Forney. 38,000 people. So right now, Shamrock, Texas appears to be our winner. Is that where I think it is? Shamrock, Texas, right there in the eastern Texas panhandle. I love that. That's fantastic. I spent a lot of time out there in the northwest part of the panhandle calling high school football. I did Canadian Texas games. The smallest school I ever went to when I was working in Woodward, Oklahoma, calling high school football was Follett, Texas. Follett, Texas, I mean, that's got to be... Do they even have a population? 373 people in Follett, Texas. There you go. All right. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We got the eye patch watching from the Jiggly Room. Okay. Glad you're having a good time there. And maybe you can get more people to join us on the show watching from the Jiggly Room. How about that? What do you say? and have them all subscribe from the Jiggly Room as well. Does that sound good? Is that too much to ask? Figure why not? Right now on the YouTube channel and on the podcast, and like that video as well. We've got interviews. We've got previews coming this week. It is game week. Week 0 is here. 3 Big 12 teams are going to be playing. So you want to make sure you're joining us right here on heartlandcollegesports.com. And if you're not on the forums, make sure you get on those things as well. They're free on the website. And as always, we've got the merch. All right. How do you win the merch? You leave us a great 5-star rating and review on the podcast, and we're giving away merch to the best podcast rating and review every single week. All right, we're doing that. Just email me your screenshot of a rating and review on Apple Podcasts to Pete Mundo, Mundo, at heartlandcollegesports.com. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. It's football season, baby. Let's go. We'll talk to you soon.